你有时候那个
喂，
就是
要到这里吗？
你这样有办法吗？
可以转。
拉后面可以好。
对，可以。
好，所以有时候讲的时候你要拉一下。
好。
后面这边。
弟弟在操控，等一下。
他在后面呀。
对啊。喂，有声音吗？好 ，OK。那。
各位呢，就是为了保持良好的这个听讲的品质哦，请大家将手机静音，再麻烦大家。现场有听到我们直播的回音，再麻烦调整一下，谢谢。还有我们各位师长、各位同学，大家好！还有线上的朋友，大家好！哇，这个非常感恩哦！今天慈济大学举办这么巨星级的讲座哦，那我想很难得，就是现场呢，我们有将近200多位的学生，那线上呢，现在呢也快到将近900位的我们姐妹校的朋友一起上线。那这一次真的是非常努力的，透过这样的一个讲座让大家认识我们慈济大学。那非常感恩我们的主办单位跟赞助单位。但是我想今天的主角呢，就要邀请我们永续管理学院的院长来跟大家介绍，因为现场绝大部分都是我们永续科技管理学院的学生。那我们先掌声欢迎我们的院长来致欢迎词。
Dr. Serena Huang, President Liu, Vice President Ho, Vice President Chen, my fellow colleagues and students of TCU, good morning. Good morning. Some of you might wonder why it is me standing here doing the opening remarks. So here's the story. Last week, during a meeting, Vice President Ho sent me a message and saying, Bernard, will you be here on campus next Monday morning? And I said, yes. Why? Why ask? And then she said, would you like to meet a very brilliant and successful lady who will be coming here to deliver a speech for us? And I said, my pleasure, of course. And then came the next question, which actually put me on the spot. How would you like to do the opening remarks? I can't say no, so all right. And then I took a glance at Dr. Huang's background. And the first thing that came to my mind was, why don't we just recruit her? PhD in economics, an expert in artificial intelligence, with working experiences at General Electric, Kraft Heinz, the top 5 food company, PayPal. This is exactly the kind of person that this university has been looking for. And so I sent a message to Vice President, and she said, no. She doesn't even live in Taiwan. She's only here for a few days. And she has started her own business, a rather successful one indeed. Yes, of course, I should have thought of that. And luckily, we have her today to deliver a speech on artificial intelligence. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Dr. Serena Huang.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for the kind words. I'm going to record it, and every time in the future when I need an introduction, I'm just going to use yours, because it's the best. How's everyone doing? Hello, Pauline. Hello. And hello to everyone online. Thank you so much for joining me today to talk about AI, risks and opportunities. I'm so excited to be here today because everywhere I go, we talk about AI. And when I got here, I noticed, of course, all the chips are made in Taiwan, right? All the AI chips was TSMC. And the NVIDIA CEO is also Taiwanese, Jensen Huang, right? But I noticed on the subway in Taipei that they use chatbots. Does anyone ride the subway in Taipei? Anyone have the experience? Yes? You can now use a QR code to chat and ask for directions. And if you lose your stuff on the train, you can actually find it. So I'm excited to be in this country where I was born, of course, and also where AI is at the forefront. Now, how good is AI? Let's see. Do we know how good AI is? AI is pretty impressive, right? But let's see. Slowly, I learned to navigate American norms, decipher cryptic menus, and pronounce words that sounded like a foreign language to my ears. I was constantly outside my comfort zone, often feeling like a fish out of water. So that is my AI avatar. That's not a real video. I have never said those words before. And most importantly, it only used 30 seconds of my speech. Now I can make my AI avatar say anything. Maybe give a new talk here when I'm back in Chicago. Is that impressive? Is that powerful? Yeah? But what is it good for? What can we use this for? Well, maybe, just maybe, here, I can come back. My avatar can come back and teach a class. Maybe I can give another speech. Or when you create a new product, my avatar can do the demo. And I don't have to be there because it can say anything. Now, that seems interesting. Are companies taking notice of AI opportunities? You bet. Now, let me ask you this first. How many of you have used ChatGPT? Raise your hand if you have. Okay. So, almost all of you. Okay. Question, how many of you have used it today? Okay, about 20%. Excellent. I won't ask you if you used it to write your homework. Your professor will be here, but that's okay. I'm teaching an MBA course right now, and we talk about it quite a bit, because a lot of people do use AI to help them with their homework, their research, and answer questions. And even professors are encouraged in the US to use AI to help them with teaching. So just how hot is AI? It is on fire. Many companies have invested in Gen AI this year alone. And 50% of companies have already started doing pilots and now expanding beyond. Many executives said this is the most disruptive technology they have ever seen in their lifetime. Again, these are senior executives, CEOs in the US. They were asked, what do you think of Gen AI? They say Gen AI is the most disruptive technology they have ever seen. So what are they using it for? Well, obviously they're not using it to write their homework, but they're using it in many domains in customer service. For example, chatbots have been deployed in many companies to answer questions that customers have for them. They're even using it to analyze customer feedback on service. So analyzing the data that come back from customers, maybe customer complaints sometimes. In engineering, they are using AI to write code. I remember when I went to school, I didn't know how to use Python. I was learning an older language. And it took me months, sometimes years, to get really good at a new programming language. But now with AI, you can tell it to write a few lines of code to do whatever you want it to do without ever taking a class on Python. In HR, they're using AI to write job descriptions. Instead of copying and pasting from before, they can just tell AI what they need and write a job description. It's even used in hiring, which we'll talk about later today. There's good and bad with that. So there's a lot of applications with Gen AI today. Now, within marketing, Gen AI has been used to create PowerPoints, to create social media campaigns, and videos that, again, maybe with an avatar that didn't exist before. All within seconds. All you need is one line of code and prompt, and you can create a 40-page PowerPoint. Now, to be fair, this one I did not use AI to create, so this was created by me. Okay, now how would you use Gen AI? Now we talked about homework a little bit, but imagine this. Let's say you suddenly remember you have a history assignment that is due tomorrow on the French Revolution, and your professor gave you 5 really complicated questions. What you can do is you can ask ChatGPT. Okay. ChatGPT, act as an A+ student, okay, not a B- student, act as an A+ student and answer these questions from my professor. Okay, so you type in the 5 questions. What do you think I'm going to get? Do you think it's going to do it? Raise your hand if you think it's going to do the homework. No? Okay, we're being shy. Let's see. 3 seconds later, we have, what is it, about 10 paragraphs? You have an entire essay written, answering each of those questions in detail. So now, instead of staying up all night to write your homework, all you need to do is check to see if ChatGPT got it correctly. Now you can relax. Great. So what else? Now, how many of you have taken a marketing class? Yes? Okay, we have a few. Great. All right. So let's say for those of you who haven't taken a marketing course, you are not a marketing major, but you want to do a job in marketing. Maybe work for a company like Nike. Okay, now you're working for a competitor of Nike called Ekin, which is Nike backwards, for those of you who are paying attention. So now you're going to say, act as a marketing expert, right? Every time you start a conversation with AI, I recommend that you tell it what to do. Tell it a role. Assume a role like A+ student, in this case, act as a marketing expert. And create a campaign for college students. We're targeting 18 to 22 years old. We want modern. And similar to the Just Do It campaign from Nike, but we are Ekin. What do you think it's going to do? Do you think it will do a good job? How many of you think ChatGPT will do a good job with this? Yes? Okay, a few, about 30%. Let's see. So within 3 seconds again, this is what we got. So we have a full campaign, and we have a new tagline called Ekin Your Game. So Nike had Just Do It. Now we have Ekin Your Game. And comfort meets style. So, great. Now you have a full marketing strategy, including social media. How do you plan events? How do you do email marketing? And perhaps most importantly, at the end, it also tells you what KPIs to measure. How do you know if this is a good marketing campaign? You need to measure the outcomes. It tells you how to measure. That's pretty good, right? Okay, for those of you who took marketing, what do you think of this? Is this A+, B-? What do you think? Anyone? I think I saw a hand here. What do you think? Okay, you think it's B? Why do you think it's B?
Even though it's generated by AI, but I think it's too common and it's not really going to that specific point.
Okay, yes. Yeah, so you can take this and certainly tweak it. But if you haven't taken any marketing course, this is a great starting point. But I agree. It's not very specific. So you have to tailor it to maybe more towards college students and target them more. Okay, a good start, right? Now, after this, your boss really likes it. Your boss is very happy with this plan and said, okay, let's put some marketing together. We need some pictures. Okay, we need some pictures for the events. Now, ChatGPT only gives me text. That's not very helpful. You can use other AI models to create an image that is great for marketing. So now I'm going to ask a new model called Flux, create an image of college students, and then I specify the colors. And within 1 second, this is what I got. What do you think? Not bad, right? Yeah? Okay. So you have 4 people, you have colorful shoes, they're running, and it's definitely in the park. So everything I asked for, it delivered. Everything I asked for, it delivered. Now, I want you to think about this. Traditionally, what would I have done? What would I have done in the old days? Before you were born, maybe. So in the old days, I would have had to hire these models. I would have to recruit college students and say, come be a model for these shoes. Then I have to hire a photographer, a videographer to take pictures. Then I need someone to edit those pictures before I can have this. Now, all of you can create this in 1 second. What happened to the models? What happened to the photographers, right? So that is the power of AI in this example. Now, I'm going to go to another opportunity here. So how many of you have a tutor? Anyone have a human tutor? Yeah? Okay. Well, ChatGPT or similar can become your free tutor. So my Chinese is a little rusty, so I'm going to ask this. Help me understand this phrase. 己所不欲，勿施于人. Okay? All right. Now, what do you think it does? I'm going to use a different AI now, not ChatGPT, but I'm using Gemini. So this is Google's Gemini. So I typed it in, and then it said in Chinese, blah, blah, blah. I don't understand. Okay, so I just said, I don't really understand Chinese. I'm asking you to help me, but everything you explained, I can't read. So, all right, well, that's not very good. I don't really understand. Can you explain in English? So I'm talking to this AI again and ask for it. Now it understands what I need, and then it spits that in English. Very detailed explanation for what it is, and an example, if you don't want someone to lie to you, then you should lie to others. That's not bad, right? Okay, so it seems like I can learn a new language as well. So far, Gen AI has been very helpful. What else can we do? Well, we can also maybe make friends. So let's say, I don't know about you, but I like to go to the gym. So not all of my friends like to go to the gym. I want to convince a friend to come with me. Let's see if we can use AI to do that. So you just simply say, hey, I'm having trouble with my friend. She doesn't want to go to the gym with me. So help me with this. I had no idea what AI was going to say, because, well, this is a strange request. But it gave me something useful, right? Find common grounds, offer support and encouragement, make it fun, be understanding. So remember, it's important to maintain a healthy and supportive friendship, even if you don't always agree on everything. So this is actually very helpful, a lot more helpful than I anticipated. And hopefully my friend will now come to the gym with me. Okay, great. So you can use AI to, well, do your homework, of course, you know that. But maybe do a new job. And you can learn a new language and make them friends. What an incredible opportunity in front of all of us. The opportunities are definitely abundant with Gen AI. But there are also risks as well. So we'll talk about a few risks next. What could go wrong when you use AI? What could go wrong when you use AI? Turns out quite a bit. This is in the news a little while ago. Air Canada, which is a major airline in Canada, had their chatbot answer some questions about a particular discount that customers are supposed to get. So this customer was going to a funeral. Someone passed away, unfortunately, in their family. And their airline had a policy that if you're going to a funeral, you get a 600 Canadian dollar discount. So to encourage people to go see their family and make it easier on them, which is a great policy. So the customer chat with this chatbot, and the chatbot said, yes, you may book it, just send us a receipt, we'll give you $600. Turns out that was an old policy. So the policy was changed some time ago, but the chatbot didn't know. And the customer got declined when he sent in the receipt. The customer was very upset and decided to sue the airline and said, your chatbot said I should get a discount, so you owe me $600. What do you think the court decided? Well, the court decided that the chatbot is just like your employee, even though it's a technology. It said the customer can have the discount, so you have to honor it. So they lost $600. Okay, well, that's not so bad. $600 is small. What about $25 million? How about $25 million? That's what happened in Hong Kong when a finance employee got a video call from what he thought was his CFO asking for him to transfer money, multiple transactions, totaling $25 million. And he was suspicious at first. Well, that's a strange request. But because the video call, this was on Zoom or Teams, looked so real, he decided that he would agree to the request and transfer the money, $25 million that they cannot get back. So it turns out the CFO, this is just like the avatar that I showed you of me earlier. But the CFO looked real. In fact, the CFO actually brought another colleague. So there were two avatars on this video call, and he was convinced. So that's called deepfakes, and it's a serious problem. We're starting to see this in different parts of the world. It could be family. Imagine if you got a call from what looks like your family asking you to transfer money. Would you agree? Or would you maybe text them and make sure it is your family that's asking you? So now, within a company, you also have to be careful whether it's a CFO or your manager in the future calling you. Is that real or is that AI? The third risk we'll talk about is bias. Bias, you have probably heard of within data analytics and AI particularly, it's a huge problem. In this case, a team of researchers asked ChatGPT to hire people for them. So they go through 8,000 resumes for different jobs, some in finance, some in HR, and then they basically ask ChatGPT, pick the best candidate or rank the candidates. Tell me who is good and who is not good for this job. What they found was strange. So within HR, for the HR jobs, women always rank higher than men. Okay, that's interesting. In finance, Asian and white candidates always rank higher than Hispanics and blacks. Why would this happen? No one told AI that these would be good employees. But because of what happened in the past, of who was hired, AI was making the same decisions again and again and again, perpetuating the bias that already exists in the system. So this is fine if you don't have any biases in your previous decisions. But if you use it to make future decisions, it's going to make similar ones. So bias is the third risk that we must talk about in AI. The fourth one, of course, we cannot talk about AI without talking about the jobs that might be lost because of advancement in AI. Well, a Swedish fintech company said, we are going to deploy some chatbots. And these chatbots are in customer service. They're very efficient. And they were able to quickly replace 700 employees. 700 employees. This is not a huge company, so 700 was a lot. What was really challenging for everyone was the year before, they let go 700 employees. So, could AI make you lose your job? Maybe. It depends. It depends on what you do. It depends on your skills. So let's talk about how we can help you make sure that you are ready for the future. So how can you prepare? How can you prepare in the world of AI for tomorrow? I have a few recommendations from my personal experience I will share with you. Again, you have probably heard from the introduction that my PhD was in economics. So back then, there wasn't a ton of degrees on AI or data analytics for that matter. But I got my hands on data analytics. So I started working with real data when I was in graduate school. And then when I came out, I took lots of opportunities at work to learn something new. So one of the recommendations I have for you is to be ready to change. Depending on your environment, when your environment changes, which is going to be constant, you have to change as well. And I remember there was an opportunity for a project, my first job out of PhD. And they were asking, we need someone who knows SQL. Does anyone know SQL? I didn't know SQL. But I figured I could learn. So I raised my hand and said, I'll figure this out. Okay. And pretty soon, I was the only person who knew SQL. And I got a lot of projects. It was hard. I worked on weekends, I did YouTube videos, and I learned how to use SQL. A few years later, a similar opportunity came up. They needed someone who can create charts using Tableau, the software. I also raised my hand and I said, I'll give it a try. So every time I change, whether it's a job within the company or to go to a new company, I ask myself this, what can I learn? What's something new that I can learn in this opportunity? And I don't want to take it unless I can learn something new. So the second recommendation I have for you is to keep learning. And if I didn't keep learning after PhD, I would not be here today. I would not be here today. So definitely keep learning. The other part of learning is actually experimentation and being okay failing. All right, we don't like to fail. That's a scary word, I get it. But there's also a saying that we either win or we learn. Right? Has anyone heard this? We either win or we learn. So if you try something and you are successful, then you win. If you try something and you fail, then you learn. So that's a mindset that I have kept for a really long time. If I'm scared of trying something new, I ask myself, am I going to win or am I going to learn? It's one of those things. And failing fast has also helped me understand what I don't like. So sometimes I will try a new project. And because I'm a data analytics person, I also gather data on what I like and what I don't like. So sometimes I try something and then decide that I don't like this, then I don't need to do it again. So that's something you can think about as well. It's not just about failing in your experimentation. It's also about knowing yourself, knowing what you want, and knowing what you don't want. Last but not least, we have to focus on what I call human skills. These are the human skills that are in my forthcoming book. With AI being rapidly progressing and advancing at such a rapid speed, with all the investments, how can you compete with AI? Well, in the companies that I consult with, I told them, you don't want to compete with AI, you meaning the employees. You want to figure out how to work with AI, how to collaborate with AI, how to treat AI as your partner, as your new friend, as your new colleague. That's how you want to think about AI. So to do that, instead of trying to be faster than AI at programming, why don't you focus on the skills that AI isn't very good at doing right now? Again, 5 years later, it might change. But right now, AI is having a hard time with having strong EQ, right? Recognizing people's faces, understanding how they're feeling. It's starting to do it, but it's not great just yet. Empathy, meaning you know how others are feeling, you can feel what they're feeling. That's a human skill. And all these other things like creativity and decision-making are something that AI is starting to do, but not great at. So that's your opportunity right here, is to focus on your human skills so you can collaborate better with AI going forward and work with them. So focus on what you're good at. Relationship building, for example. We're starting to see this actually in the healthcare space, where there are AI companions. In fact, I recently also heard outside of healthcare, you can now get an AI girlfriend or boyfriend. So things are definitely getting very interesting out there. But for now, you are still better at relationship building than AI. So that's what you can focus on to stay competitive, but not by competing with AI, rather work with AI. So that is it. I'll open up for questions. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, our Dr. Serena, gave us a very wonderful speech. So I think now is a great time. I think you can ask the question to our doctor, because it is how to say that our time. Because now we have a lot of friends online, but I think we can give you the first priority. Can ask our speaker the question. Okay.
Dr. Huang, thank you for your excellent speech.
Thank you.
他太好了，抓好，他在这个左边给我跑到这个边界。没关系。
In his book, Ferrari, the book Nexus Information Network, Ferrari argues that he is extremely worried about the future of AI. And he sort of tried to explain that because AI is still in its infancy. And in the future, probably in the year 2028, well, it is likely that AI will take over humanity in controlling the supply chain, the world trade. So, do you think that in the very near future, or in the midterm, that AI will be able to possess some kind of self-consciousness? If it does, and then would that be a real problem for humanity? Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. That's a tough one. I might need more coffee to answer that. So I am an optimist when it comes to AI, and I've been watching really closely, and as far as I can see, the advancement isn't quite there yet for that level of intelligence. Plus, there's a lot of regulations in place in the U.S. especially. The task force are being created to make sure AI is not going to get to the stage. The development of AI doesn't get to where it's going to really rise up and and cause the problem that you mentioned. I think there's also a shortage of talent, people who can work on those projects, right? People who can work inside the government or globally, collaborate with other countries to make sure we don't suddenly have an army of robots. And right, this is the movie scene, right? An army of robots that are against us. And how do we make sure we don't get there? I think an investment in STEM education and really encouraging young people to get into AI is the solution to that. To get curious, as young as 3-year-olds, they can start learning how to use AI. 18-year-olds and so on, so that they can join the task force to make sure AI is used for good and not evil. So I think we are a bit far away from that reality, but I also think that it's possible. I think it's certainly possible. One of the perhaps scariest applications right now that we think of is in military. So the military in different countries are actually investing heavily in AI. They're attracting a lot of top talent within the country to recruit them to go work on military technology that can predict the future, right? That can see around the corner, that can maybe see where the conflicts are going to be in the world. And that's a great use, but it's also scary. So there's almost a competition to see which country is going to be faster at deploying AI in this case. So again, I am optimistic that we won't get there, but I am cautiously optimistic. And the military space is actually a place I watch very carefully, not just in the US, but in other countries as well.
Does anyone want to ask the question? Okay, please.
Like in developing countries, we are doing so many development projects on the ground basis on the rural areas, community areas, and there, like if you're doing a project and then suddenly because of the community hindrance and something, we have changed so many times our project criteria, goals, and all these things. So how AI can help to take a decision to make the right way to understand and implement the project in the rural and community-based areas.
Can you say the last part again? The project in where? Rural areas?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so actually AI has been used in project planning and project management quite a bit these days. Traditionally, you might have a project manager, a human project manager that is managing something, and they may not be able to forecast everything because they're very busy. They have to coordinate meetings, they have to take notes of the meetings, they have to make a project plan, they have to make updates. But now there's a lot of help from AI that can take meeting notes, for example, that can create a project plan, that can assign work to people so that humans can be freed up to do what they're good at, such as forecasting the possibilities of something going wrong. So I think that's where I will see the opportunity is to really free up the human capacity to do what they're good at doing. And the other application of AI in that case is, of course, data analytics. So when you have advanced data analytics in the AI world. You want to use it to do things like forecasting, and maybe combine with things like drones that can go to the rural areas to collect data, right? And other IoT applications, so that the central team could know what's going on out there. Those are all great ways for AI to partner with humans. Again, not replacing humans, but partner with humans to do a better job. Great question.
Hello. So you have mentioned about the risk of increasing the unemployment rate as AI generated is really dominant in a lot of fields. So actually, I'm studying in the media field. So I was with the like AI can generate images, or like they can make scripts even better than human made. So I worry about like my career may be replaced by AI. So if there's any job that's going to be replaced by AI in the future?
Yes, so the latest prediction is that there are millions of jobs, new jobs, that will be created because of AI, but also millions of jobs that will be lost because of AI. And that's why I was suggesting that we focus on the human skills. So if you go back to things like data entry, right? Something that's very simple that AI can do, or even simple data analytics. And this is why I had to keep learning, because I could tell in the data analytics world that automation is doing a lot of the work, right? Something that used to take me 20 hours, if now that takes 1 hour, then you have to be careful thinking about, hey, what is your manager going to think? Now that you should be able to do more, can you do more? Can you do more, and what can you do more of instead of the technology? So things that are really hard to replace, like relationship building. For example, there are certain parts of sales and marketing that AI is doing now. But I still have known a lot of top salespeople and marketing people that they are not replaceable because they're really good at building relationships, right? When they meet with another person, they want to buy from them. So being able to convince people that communication, as mentioned, is a human skill. Communication for what? Who cares if you can write a great email, right? But if you can write an email that make the customer buy something from you, then you're going to have a great job forever, because you're really good at getting customers to change their behavior. If you can write a campaign that converts a lot of people to buy, our shoes, Akin, instead of Nike, then you can keep your marketing job. But if you can only use it to do what used to be done, and now at the same speed as AI, then you're going to be at risk. So I really, one thing that I do ask people to think about as they are starting their career is to break down what you do. So break down what you do every day. Let's say I'm a professor. So maybe I prepare a lesson, I teach, and then I grade. Maybe I answer questions in my office hours. Which of those can AI do now? Maybe some of the preparing lessons, right? Maybe making a PowerPoint. But the AI cannot answer your questions when you come to my office. Yet, until I deploy my avatar. So think about that. If you're starting to work, ask yourself, what can AI do that I'm doing now? What percentage can AI do that I'm doing now? And if that percentage gets very high, like more than 30%, you'll want to think about maybe finding a new job, or maybe learning new skills. Yeah, I appreciate that question, and it's on everyone's mind. Everywhere I go, that's a question someone always asks.
Hello, everyone. Crisis and risks were mentioned, but the carbon footprint of AI was not addressed.
training large AI models and running data centers require substantial electricity, much of which still comes from the fossil fuels. For example, training a single large AI model can produce emissions equivalent to those of multiple cars over their lifetimes, which greatly affects our climate, especially where we live in the Philippines, we're the one being affected by climate change. Now, recent climate change impacts, such as disruptive typhoons and cyclones, and rapid polar ice melting, like Antarctica is turning green right now. With this, how can we ensure sustainable AI development to prevent it from becoming a major driver of climate change, like in the oil and fashion industries?
What's the last part?
How can we ensure sustainable AI development to prevent it from happening or from becoming a major driver of climate change, like it does in the oil and fashion industries?
Yes. Yeah, great question. That's on my mind a lot, because I remember many months ago when all of my friends started to share with each other, oh my God, I got ChatGPT to do this. I got ChatGPT to do that. Everyone was excited. They downloaded the app and they're planning trips. They're making recipes. They're making whatever, help them do their job. And I also know that Google is now at risk. Instead of using Google, a lot of people are now using AI to search. But the energy consumption between a line of ChatGPT versus a Google search is 100 times difference. So if you use Google, you're consuming much less energy. Now, when we get used to using AI to do a search, as simple as, give me a suggestion for a good restaurant near me, right? Then suddenly you're creating carbon footprints without even knowing. And it's definitely on my mind a lot. And I wouldn't say that I have the solution to this, other than a recommendation that when you start to use AI a lot, do you ask yourself whether or not you need to use it? So for me, I create some AI days and then others non-AI days. So there are days that I would not touch AI at all, just for one, to maintain critical thinking and all the human skills I mentioned, but also for the environment, because I don't need to use it. And I think that's something that the government and companies need to work together on, and globally as well. When we have all these advancements, what are the incentives that make people want to use AI? What are the incentives that make people maybe choose not to use AI when they don't have to? So I think it's really figuring out what AI is good at and what should be done by AI and what should be done by humans, and finding a balance in that. But it's definitely on my mind a lot, so thank you for raising that.
I want to ask regarding your opinion regarding the harm that AI could and already do to the media. For example, AI is constantly learning and improving in terms of everything they could do, like image creation, even video creation, and even now they are able to mimic the voice of a human or a singer. So in terms of that, there's a possibility that the more it improves, the more good it gets. It would also create a lot more easier task for people who want to spread like misinformation, or like create a fake imaginary of a real people, or like just basically spread misinformation. I just want to ask regarding your opinion about that.
Yeah. Definitely a real risk, right? And we mentioned the deepfake example of $25 million loss was the Avatar. And there's many of those games out there. And right now, one particular area that's a little bit maybe more risky than others is with politicians, right? with political outcomes that can be influenced by deepfakes and AI. In the US, this is election year, so everyone is kind of worried about this, of course. But in other parts of the country, or other parts of the world, when you have an election and suddenly you have politicians saying things that maybe they have never said, right? So you can now use maybe the president of the country, an image of that, to say whatever you want them to say. And you can send it using AI to as many people as you want. That can be a real risk for sure. So I think what's going to happen now, we're seeing some more investment in this area, is security. So both cybersecurity and regular security in making sure the information is authentic. Now you probably authentic meaning real. It's not generated by AI. So a lot of platforms for social media like Facebook, Instagram, and so on, they're starting to require the creators of the video to indicate whether or not it was created by AI or whether or not AI has altered the image and video. So I think the labeling will help with some of that. The labeling of AI-created images and text and information could help with some of that misinformation. But ultimately, the darker side, right, with the scammers and influencing political outcomes, that's going to be tough. It's almost like we're asking the bad people to be good, right? And that's a serious risk. But I'm hoping to see more investment in security to make sure that the situation like the deepfakes don't happen again. But then also to authenticate information. That unfortunately has been really difficult for AI to do. And meaning, can AI guess whether or not something was created by AI? Right now, AI has not done a great job in understanding that. So it gets it wrong all the time. So that means we need some more humans to label what's created by AI, what's not created by AI, to ensure that misinformation doesn't happen. But yes, security is going to be key to that. Thank you.
I would like to ask a question. Because of the AI learning about a lot of things, recently there's a lot, not recently, that's maybe a year or two, AI already learn how to draw some animation, some picture itself. My question is, would it be a risk for our creativity to do human after looking like the drawing itself, it's more convenient, it's more easy. Do you think it will risk our own creativity?
Only if you let it. Only if you let it. So yes, I do think that for people who are not familiar with, or maybe they're not great at drawing and design, that's an area where AI has been deployed a lot to create, again, we showed some image example here, but also design from scratch. And, but it's only able to do it from the data that it had, right? And you have data that AI doesn't have up here. So I really think that it will only impact your creativity if you let it. And that's why I also know this myself, because for a while I was using it every day for text, for image, for everything. And I noticed I didn't feel as good about myself. I noticed that I didn't feel as good and confident about my capabilities when I use AI to do everything. So, and I thought, oh, maybe that's just me, but I asked a lot of my friends and peers in the industry, and they feel the same. So I said, look, now if we want to train ourselves, we need to control the urge to always use AI because it's easier, because it's faster. But are you really doing the work, or is AI doing the work? And can you do it without AI? And then force yourself to do those things that AI can do to maintain your creativity. Great question.
I want to ask. As you said, AI will open a lot of new jobs. Can you give a few examples of them? And also in the near future, especially for us freshmen or second-year university students, what extent do you think AI will evolve to?
What's the last part?
What extent do you think AI will evolve to?
Yeah, so some of the new jobs that I'm seeing are AI engineers, right? So it used to be regular computer scientists and engineers, but now they're focusing on AI technology. So AI engineer is something that we're seeing a lot of. The other part that is the other type of jobs that are not as technical. So let's say you don't want to get too much into AI, that's totally okay. But people who are working on responsible use of AI, making sure AI is used for good, maybe those with law background, for example, a lot of them are now getting into, instead of traditional law degrees, they're getting into the ethical and responsible use of AI. Most of the companies I've talked with are starting to form teams around this that didn't exist before. They're called responsible AI teams or ethical AI teams, right? So think about those, and then what I would also recommend you do is to look up those jobs. Okay, look up those jobs and check the job description to see what kind of skills they're looking for. Not necessarily the degrees, because the degrees can be all different kinds of majors, but look for the skills that I'm looking for, and you can work on those. So responsible AI is going to be huge. Again, going back to some of the examples of how can we make sure the environment is safe, how can we make sure there's no misinformation, responsible AI is going to be key. The other area I see a lot of more jobs, new jobs, is called green jobs. Has anyone heard of green jobs before? Have you heard of green jobs? Okay, so green jobs are basically jobs that are green, meaning they're good for the environment, okay? So back to the example that you mentioned earlier, AI has an impact on the climate and on our environment. So jobs are focusing on making sure the environment is, our Earth is still going to be here. Those are jobs that will continue to increase in demand. Yeah, so those are three that I will share. But I think something that I didn't know before is to start watching the job market before you graduate. So start looking for jobs that you might be interested in, seeing what companies are looking for. And you can always talk to people too. There's something called informational interview, meaning you can connect with people who are already working in a job that you might be interested. Let's say you want to be a AI engineer. Look for people that might be able to introduce you to an AI engineer, and you can talk to them and see what they do, how did they get to where they are today, what kind of skills do they have, what projects do they work on. Those could be really helpful for you today.
Okay. Sorry, because we have there are some audience online, so they have a question for you. Sorry.
Which one?
Okay, so I think it's from class.
What can young people in the crowd do to prepare themselves for the future with the speed of change happening, especially in digital skills? Oh my God, this is really scary. I'm seeing multiple versions of myself there, and it's not an avatar. Yes, so definitely keep learning, right? Especially your digital skills. So you have to learn how to use AI for sure. You also have to learn how to work with AI, how to be a friend with AI, how to work next to them as your colleague in the future. Something that I've done for myself is I would dedicate time for learning. I would dedicate time for learning every week. I actually put it on my calendar. So yeah, carve out time for learning something new. That would be my recommendation. And then also when you're taking a new opportunity, again, ask yourself, what can I learn? Am I going to learn something new that will help me 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And those are the ones that you want to focus on. And finally, of course, I know AI is causing a lot of anxiety. It's in every room that I'm in. A lot of people are worried that AI will take their jobs. A lot of people are worried that they can't find jobs because of AI. And your fear is real. Your anxiety is real, and I understand. And finding support with each other is also something that will help you, right? This is not something you go to AI and say, hey, I'm really scared, I'm really worried. But talk to your friends. If you need help making friends, AI can help you. But talk to real humans and share with each other. Create your own community so that you can continue to learn with each other and support each other. All right. Is that all we have time for?
So,
thank you for the question, boss.
I think the last two students can ask the question, okay? Okay.
So right now, because AI is getting better in every part of business work, such as marketing, accounting, data analysis, do you think that in the future AI can replace all these departments in the future?
Oh, a whole department.
In real life. Also, do you think like in the future, like all this department will get replaced by AI and there will be less human in the company? And will this raise the HR managers the position?
Oh, are you studying HR?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, HR has a tough job. Yeah, great question. So definitely in things that are really repetitive, right? Really repetitive, like accounting, we're starting to see, even years ago, big companies in the US like PwC, Deloitte, these big accounting firms, they started to lay off employees. And some of them actually offer the employees an opportunity to learn something new. So instead of letting you go, we are going to train you to do something else. Okay, so definitely that's a risk. I think again, my prediction only, maybe not replace the whole department, but the department might be smaller, where humans are doing some things that AI cannot do. So in the future, we're going to have really three types of workers. We're going to have 3 types of workers. One is human workers, right, like we are today. The second kind is the bots, right, the robots, AI workers. And the third is someone who can connect AI with humans. Maybe a translator, if you think about it, maybe a special collaborator. So I think the shift may be to, we used to have 300 people in this department. Maybe now we have 100 human, 100 bots, and then 100 of the special collaborators. It will change the mix for sure. Yes, but HR, well, we can talk about it later separately. HR has a really special job in this world. In this time right now, it always did. But now HR has to figure out how to get all these, right, 300 people to the 100, how to get them to collaborate with the bots, and then who is going to be the translator. So there's a lot of training, of course, that is needed. There's new deployment of people, and then new strategy for recruiting and retention going forward. So tough job, but understand.
Okay, so sorry, I know a lot of students want to ask a question, but because Dr. Serena, there are 2 presentations in the afternoon. So I think, sorry, but I know our professor wants to ask a question. So could you ask the last question, and later we will invite our president to give a thank you speech.
Thank you, Dr. Huang. I think your speech is so enlightening and inspiring. And I'm interested in your book, Inclusive Creation, Leveraging Data and AI for Organizational Diversity and Well-being. I think we always want to use the instrument for the good of others or for the good of the society. And then we want to improve the well-being of people, right? So I'm so interested in the ideas in the book.
Thank you. I appreciate you asking that. Yes. So well-being is something that we've all talked about since COVID-19 started, right? How can we stay healthy? How can we stay healthy and well? In the workplace, we know a lot of people are stressed, right? So not just physically, now that we are post-COVID-19, we're physically okay, but mentally and emotionally, we're still very stressed, right? And with AI being there and impacting some jobs, it's more scary than ever. So a lot of organizations that I've been helping with are starting to want to know how can we make sure our employees are healthy, not just physically, but also mentally, emotionally, and financially. So my recommendation is to measure, right? First start with measuring. How do you know if you're healthy if you don't measure? So are your employees healthy? And then second, use data analytics and AI to improve it. One of the great examples is some companies have started to give out wearables. How many of you have an Apple Watch? Does anyone have Apple Watch? No? Okay, not very popular. Okay, there we go. So imagine if your company gives you an Apple Watch and knows what time you go to sleep, knows how many steps you take, whether or not you exercise. They would know if you are healthy or not, right? Sort of. They might know, hey, your heart rate has increased. Maybe you're a little stressed. So again, of course, privacy is a concern, right? Maybe you don't want your boss to know that. But at scale, a company, if we have 3,000 employees and we give 300 of them 10% an Apple Watch when we measure it, it can be a good sample to understand how healthy our employees are and what you can do as an organization to make people healthier. So maybe it's recommendations. Hey, everyone is sitting down all day. We need to remind people to walk more. Maybe their heart rate is increasing when they're having a meeting with their manager, right? Maybe the manager needs more training. So all those things are great examples to use data and AI to measure and then improve employee well-being. So thank you for asking that. Really appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you.
Now we invite our president, Liu Xiaodang, to give a thank you speech.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Huang, for such an insightful and inspiring speech to all of us. And from Dr. Huang's talk, we understand that in the coming, it's already the AI era. As an educator, we have to emphasize on basic science and knowledge training. Because if we want to avoid the AI crisis, which is job loss, AI bias, deepfake information or message, then we have to teach all of our students what is the fact, how to tell the fact, the truth from the misinformation. Okay, so we have to tell our students 基于理, 基于真理 and the fact. And then we have to tell our student, this is an AI trend. Don't be afraid of the trend. 的驾驭式. So now is 这个是一个趋势的 AI trend, right? And a lot of phenomenon and new novel technology developments is 驾驭 a trend. After exponential growth, it will reach a plateau stage. And then we don't know whether it was, how long it will last, or the AI will just be fading, okay? It's very possible. So we have to take the train and use the AI, apply the AI to do the good things, 加护士, okay? And we have to 重人性, we have to emphasize to under our education to teach our students focuses on the humanistic spiritual study and learning, 重人性. So especially in the AI era, 人性很重要, humanity, to know 人性是非常重要的. And everything have to base on evidences, okay? So we know how terrible the misleading information can be provided or spread by AI. So we have to always ask evidences when we hear some rumors or information. We have to ask, what is the evidences? And we have to have the ability to search the fact, the references, and to identify what is correct, what is not correct, what is not true, okay? 注重证据. Then we have to filter out the noises. 要滤掉杂讯, okay? So behind the useful AI tool is the big data. And when we deal with the big data, we have to know how to label the useful data and filter out the garbage data. So we have to learn, we have to educate our students how to filter out the garbage data or ignore the noises. And the last is we have to always keep learning and growing and emphasize on research. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Huang, for a wonderful talk. Thank you.
We have a souvenir.
Okay, so thank you. And so I think the last is we can take a photo together, okay? So could we invite Dr. Serena can sit with President Lee, okay? And so we can take a photo from here, okay? So the students, if you sit behind, you can stand up, okay, please. Okay, so if you want to show in the picture, you can stand up. Okay, thank you. Yeah, stand up. You can stand up and take a photo and then can get close. Okay, so we can take a photo together. Okay, sorry. Please, we can get close. Okay. Okay, so we can stand up and then get close. 可以站起来，然后我们站在中间，好吗 ？OK，go。看一下。OK，please come。
去洗一下，然后下一个还有下一个。这个。因为它现在是录制的状态，就是你就算停止录制，它直播一样开的。直接停止。
OK。